what's really important, I saw on BBC Points West last night a sort of vigil being held in Bristol to sort of commiserate with the American people. We've got to be careful. I mean, this is a democratically expressed view of the American people. They've elected their president. Donald Trump should be congratulated on his victory. But there are things that were said in the election campaign that would give us cause for concern. Things like his commitment to NATO, his commitment to arresting climate change, some of the views he has on world trade. And clearly, governments all around the world, including the UK, will be keen to understand exactly what that means for them.
How much of a challenge do you think this now poses for the British government working out where it stands with the US?
Well, I think it poses a significant challenge in so much as hearing various ex-ambassadors to Washington speaking on TV and radio yesterday. They said that ordinarily when an election campaign is progressing, you sort of have a feel for who the real thinkers are, policy thinkers are around a candidate. And therefore, once the result is known, you know who it is you go to start to sort of build up an understanding of what their agenda is likely to be. The problem with the Trump camp is that there wasn't really anybody around him that appeared to be sort of his policy thinkers. And the campaign itself has been remarkably light in serious policy thought. So there's a massive job for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office simply to sort of understand what a Trump presidency is going to mean.
I know that you won't want to go terribly much on instinct, but Britain's past relationship with the US has had very close ties, sometimes a little bit distant at others. What do you think is a good, healthy link between the two countries for the benefit of us if we're really selfish?
I think that the relationship that we have with the United States is forged through all sorts of commonalities that will continue regardless of who our Prime Minister is and who their President is. But I think that the world is a better place when the UK and the US are at its closest, are at our closest, and I hope that will continue. I would perhaps go so far as to say that in the last few years, the Obama foreign policy has been to sort of look more towards the Pacific, and that has meant that our relationship with the United States has perhaps not been quite as strong in the last few years as it's been previously. Perhaps with Donald Trump's business interests in the United Kingdom and his family connections to the UK, we might find that, and his sympathy with the Brexit cause, we may well find that actually for all of our gnashing of teeth during the campaign, what happened yesterday is a real opportunity for the UK to forge even closer links with the United States.
And if Donald Trump does turn out to be the president that some people fear he'll be, that if that link is close, that puts Britain in a slightly awkward position, doesn't it? Well,
I don't think it does. I mean, this is where we have to be really careful. What happened in America on Tuesday was an election, and the election was won by Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will now go ahead and deliver the domestic and foreign agenda that he has been elected to deliver by the people of the United States. And if we think that the things he's doing are not great, well, that's fundamentally that's not much of our business, given that he is the President of the United States. He's been elected by the American people. We will need to learn to work with him and his foreign policy to make sure that Britain gets what it needs. But I think that there are serious areas of concern where I think that some early engagement with the Trump transition team to seek reassurances over America's commitment to NATO. My sense is that was probably campaign rhetoric, and when the reality of what that means starts to sort of be considered, there's no chance that he would come through on that, and that America will remain firmly committed. I think the things he said about climate change are very challenging indeed, given the progress that's been made on that in the last few years, and it would be a real shame to see that unravel because the White House was not as committed to it under Trump as it's been under Obama. And I think the unraveling of all these free trade agreements that the United States has may be an opportunity for the UK in our sort of Brexit state to to seek a relationship with the United States bilaterally, but it is apparent to me, and to I think just about everybody else, that Trump has a sort of protectionist instinct that might be slightly difficult when it comes to re-establishing the norms of world trade. So those are, in my view, things where the Foreign Commonwealth Office, the Department for International Trade, the Prime Minister clearly will all want to be engaging with the Trump team during transition. But fundamentally, it's Trump's mandate to do now as he pleases. He's been elected in a democratic election, and holding vigils in Bristol by candlelight ain't going to make much difference.